Hey, you, Allison here. First, I just wanted to say thank you for responding and connecting with me about last week's video about why we're feeling anger all of the time. And that anger can manifest to rage, but for most people, it's underneath the surface bubbling and tends to pop up in what feels like unexpected moments. So it sounds like you and I are kind of experiencing the same thing. And I promised that I would talk about this week one of the things about the neuroscience of anger. And then next week, I'll share some additional tips and resources that'll really support you in this. So, anger in and of itself is actually a really healthy emotion. Our bodies were designed and kind of evolved to utilize anger, one, for motivation, and two, to recognize perceived threats that were around us and to do something about our care to make sure that we're motivated to care for ourselves and that we're motivated to take care of ourselves when there's perceived threats. So I found this really fascinating because stress really just is the perceived notion that that this threat is actually bigger than our resources to deal with the stress. And so what happens with anger is our system is designed to perceive the threat, and anger tells us, okay, we've got to do something about it. And so stress from that anger is simply because we feel like that stress is, and the triggers of that stress are out of our control. We prepare for the threat, and it's designed to deal with those stressors and those threats on a short-term basis. And so our body and our mind neuropsychologically does not know the difference between I'm running from a lion who's about to kill me to the news that keeps telling me about bad things, or at work I'm experiencing these incredible social isolation things that are making me feel anger, and our body does not differentiate between those three. And so when you think about every day in the news, we're hearing something. In our social structures and communities, we're experiencing something. At work, we're experiencing something that's not in our lifetime has really been experienced in the way that we're experiencing it. And all of this creates stress, and all of that creates this underlying anger that bubbles up. That our bodies are literally not designed for long-term stress. When you think about it, I'm sure you've probably heard the stories before when you think about back in the past that in that perceived danger, it was fast. We had to do something to take care of ourselves or be eaten. We had to do something to take care of ourselves or be destroyed. And what's happening is we're never getting a break from those perceived threats, whatever those threats are. And so it's no wonder we're feeling angry, and that it manifests in many different ways. One of the ways that I'm experiencing it is things that didn't bother me before are bothering me now. A great example of that is in my role as a coach, in my role as a consultant, people will ask me the same questions over and over and over and over. And one person will ask me a question, never knowing that another person asked me the same question like 20 minutes ago. But my brain has not had a break from the stressors that I've been experiencing. I've had several life events happen besides COVID in 2020, and my brain I have not given myself the permission to hold on a second and rest. And so second person who's asked me the same question that the first person just asked me 20 minutes ago, I'm angry at this person and I'm feeling irritated, and I might take it out on them, or I may not take it out on them, but later after my interaction with them, I'm feeling angry and I'm having these thoughts of anger about that person, and there's no reason for it. The reason that it's happening is because my body has not come down from the long-term stress, from the long-term anger and perceived threats that my brain and my body have not had a chance to recoup. So I'm wondering if you can relate to that a little bit. So I'm curious, how are you experiencing the anger bubbling up, especially in the times where you're kind of like, where did that come from? I'd love to hear from you on that and if you can relate to any of this. Next week, I've got three simple tactics or ways that you can start to mitigate some of that anger, but also like how do you navigate with the anger? Because really, we're in a really interesting time in general that things are kind of always in our face. So how do we manage and navigate with our anger versus it kind of navigating us? I'll see you all next week, and can't wait to hear from you.